The Hobbit, The Battle of Five Armies, which is based off of this book by John Ronald Reuel Tolkien. I didn't really feel like that this movie needed to be split up into 3 parts in the first place, like the Lord of the Rings trilogy. The Hobbit would have worked just fine if it was condensed down into 2 chapters. It's hard to believe that a director would make a call to stretch a 300-page book into 3 movies with a lot of backstory that wasn't really necessary in the first place. I can kind of give the film this. Some of the battle sequences were cool to watch. After a while, it becomes a bloated CGI fest. It didn't have that bite to it like the original Lord of the Rings trilogy had years ago. All the CGI was a little too distracting, so they could have toned it down a bit and make it more believable. Now, Lake Town's destruction scene from Smaug in the beginning of the film was pretty cool though. The extra dialogue that Smaug was given on the destruction of Lake Town when he burned it was not really necessary, but it was alright. The scene in the town's destruction where Bard the Bowsman is preparing the black arrow to slay the dragon was kind of cool, but I wish they would have left in his most epic lines that were written in the book. "Arrow, black arrow, you have never failed me. I've always recovered you and he from of old. If ever you were a descendant from the true kings under the mountain, go now and speed well." Yeah, unfortunately that was not in the final film. Now for the characters that were not in the original story. To begin with, I didn't like the way the character Bard was introduced in the last film and he never had kids in the original story. Yeah, sure, the kids were added to create more dramatic tension, but to be honest, I didn't really care whether they lived or died. And then we have everybody's favorite bad boy, Legolas, who was not in the original story. Since the last film, director Peter Jackson was thinking that there wasn't enough dramatic tension, so he decided to add the brand new elf character that was not in the original story either. Her character's name is Turiel, and she's played by Kate, the woman who was good at forming love triangles in the past ABC hit series, Lost. The made-up love triangle between Keely the dwarf, Turiel, and Legolas was totally unnecessary. Every time the actress Evangeline Lilly, who played Turiel, tried to emote, now, I was just, no, you don't get any sympathy from me because you were not in the original story. Even though I have to admit that that actress still looked pretty hot. Then we have another unnecessary story arc where Gandalf is trapped in the old abandoned fortress of Dol Guldur in the southern part of Mirkwood. They show him squaring off with a necromancer, and then suddenly out of nowhere his friends Saruman, Galadriel, and Elrond and Radagast show up. The spirits of the ring race from the Lord of the Rings show up along with the necromancer, and then all of them just have an all-out battle right there in the fortress. I just sat there on my seat looking up at the screen and just thinking to myself, what the heck is going on here? The scene just felt like a little kid playing with his action figures. And then these sorcerers are battling with these demons, and then this greater sorcerer comes on, and then the sorceress uses her epic powers. It's awesome! Mind you, in the original story, Gandalf told the dwarves that he had pressing business away south. He may have mentioned something here or there a little bit, but you know what? It didn't have to be stretched this far. Now the scene where Thorin is enchanted by the treasure hoard is cool. You see Thorin struggle and have a battle within himself since he's overcome by this treasure's enchantment, and Bilbo actually points it out to him. The acting was decent. Unfortunately, the film just felt like a bloated CGI fest, with orcs and trolls and wargs and giant snakes that pop out of the ground. And where was our main character Bilbo in all of this? All the actors did a decent job with the material they were given, but it just didn't have that kind of emotional punch that pulled up my heartstrings like what the Lord of the Rings films did. For all it was worth, I'm kind of glad that I saw it. The final verdict for this film is a 5 out of 10. If it wasn't for the tons of CGI and the padded, overly complicated storylines, this film would have been a lot better than it actually was. Or the whole trilogy, for instance. I just hope that one day, later on in the years to come, that an ambitious young filmmaker will take up Tolkien's original story and make a true movie adaptation out of it. So if you want a good fantasy epic trilogy, I suggest you watch Lord of the Rings. This one is just a cash grab. Or better yet, for a movie version of The Hobbit, watch the original 1977 made-for-TV animated Rankin Bass classic. Thank you very much as always, guys. Be sure to give this video a like, click the link below, and hit the subscribe button. And I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.